Sarah, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me. I always love being a guest on your podcast.
Oh, likewise. You have great energy.
So do you.
Where do you get your energy from?
Living
Good
a
food.
healthy life, taking care of my gut, sleeping well, hydrated. I just think putting my health at the forefront of my life. I always look at my health like a job. You know, people kind of wing it. They go on the fly. And I'm like, how can you do that? I always think about my health. I love it. I'm fascinated
Well,
by it.
the question is, how do you stay extra healthy-ish? So
yes.
how is
Yes.
health forefront? Like, what are you thinking about right now and what's happening over the next couple of week or so when it comes to your health?
So little things like for starters, every day I have a meal plan, and I do it on autopilot now. The first thing I start with my day, as soon as I wake up, the first thing I think about is I want to rehydrate after the night. So I just get a lemon or a lime, squeeze it into about half a litre of water, and I actually am addicted to that feeling now. Like I literally scull.
It doesn't make you feel sick
No,
on an empty stomach?
No, it's amazing. I thought it would when I started it, and I actually crave it. So I actually wake up craving water. So hydration is really important to me. I think if your hydration is good, your energy level is good, your gut's working well, you've got clearer thinking, your joints are working, you're clearing waste. So that's a big one for me. Daily exercise of some form, if it's not running or Pilates or walking around. Menu planning for the day. The menu will depend on my level of exercise, and then and also probably I think about my hormones, my cortisol dipping around 2 or 3. How am I going to feel at 4 o'clock? If that's related to. I'm always just sort of thinking about my cortisol. Then I'll think about, I might crave a little bit of sugar about 8 o'clock, and I'll think, melatonin's coming in, and maybe I should have a bath. And
so you're just really in tune with what's going on with your body.
My hormones are everything, yeah. And little things like sometimes I just think about, like the other day I walked in and my girls had all this chocolate there. And I was thinking, they said, oh, Mum, look at this chocolate. It's so good. I love a bit of chocolate. And I said, yeah, I don't really feel like eating that. And they're like, why? And I said, I don't really feel like making my pancreas produce more insulin. And they're like, what are you
talking
about?
Mum?
They're like,
come
shut
on.
up, Mum. And I said, no, I don't, because insulin is it actually just really locks away fat. It's an amazing hormone for taking glucose to our cells for energy, but also it's a storage hormone. And I said, I'm going to eat that. I don't really need the calories right now because I've just come off a huge lunch, which has been fabulous. And then I'm going to have all of that insulin that's produced to manage all that glucose. It's just going to lock all that away.
And then you'll probably feel crap in an hour.
And then you just feel like you've got the sugar high and the sugar low. And I just sort of think, so for me, that's how and then I'll just think about, I'm tired. Like I think about, my hormones. I'm always just sort of, it's just this side little narrative that's running all the time.
And perhaps you are quite intentional about what you do. Maybe it's just having the conscious intention of, I'm not going to eat this because I know this is all going on.
It's the consequences,
and
maybe.
I might
and I
feel
always,
like this.
And I don't, for me, it's not a short-sighted decision. For me, it's a long, like I want to sleep well, I want to feel good. And all of those things play such to me, there is nothing more wonderful than feeling just that chi and that vitality. I love that vitality. I love waking up going, bring it on. I'm here for a fabulous day. Like life is short and it is precious. So I just think I can't do hangovers. I can't do
Do you ever is it
yes,
too much?
Yes, I do let loose.
Sometimes, like here I'm thinking, is it
yes,
all?
I have to train myself. I have to say, stop, Sarah.
Do you actually have fun?
I'm happy. So at the end of the day, I say, how do I feel? I'm really happy. Like I just feel really happy. And, I sort of look at my dopamine hits in other ways. Like people go, they'll go, I talk about dopamine hits and all those wonderful neurotransmitters. And I'm finding my dopamine from other things. My dopamine might be visiting my mum. It might be catching up with a beautiful friend. I'm having a dopamine hit right here, sitting there with you because you're divine. And I love our interactions and our engagement. And I love what you do. And I just get dopamine hit from doing great things with my kids or jumping in the ocean. Like I just find dopamine elsewhere outside of just, going out and having a whole lot of whatever, alcohol or flogging
Now
myself.
Another dopamine hit. Did you like that segue?
Yes, I did love that.
Would be, no doubt.
Yes.
Today is launch day for your new book, The Gut Repair Plan.
I'm so...
You must just be high today.
I am. I woke up this morning. I woke up to it. Well, I've woken up and I've just gone, what is like a... Oh, it's the day's finally here. Like you write this book. Like I finished writing that book a year ago, and the manuscript was put in a year ago. And I think about the time I spent researching and writing and consolidating and removing and editing and trying to formulate and how am I. And the whole time I'm writing this book, I'm thinking, how best can I teach people about, and for me to write this book, what drove me to write it was, I know I know how important our gut is. It's the center of everything, of our health and wellness and well-being. But for me writing it, I wanted my follower, my reader to be, and I wanted it in a way that was easy for them to interpret and understand. So a lot of language, scientific language, was removed, so the average person who's not in this industry, in the health space, could actually get benefit from it. So I wanted people to read through the first, there's chapter upon chapter upon chapter of everything, and I wanted them to have maybe an aha moment like they did in my other programs, where they've just gone, oh, that could be me. Maybe I need to see my GP. Oh, that was me. So all through it, I've got all diseases in their day on a plate. But my pride in the whole book is the 4-week plan. So for me, I feel like as a new clinical nutritionist, my strength is in creating plans. So I sit there and I think about it and I formulate it, and I'll go for a 10K run, and I'll come back and think, that's better, and how can this help? And then looking at how the gut responds to different things, and not overwhelming people, and nurturing and nursing the gut journey from week 1 through to week 4. So week 1's like a detox and cleanse, reducing, and week 2 is like a sort of where we're just doing a bit of repairing and lowering inflammation. Week 3 is all about rebuilding the probiotics, and week 4 is marrying it all together and sealing the way forward. So much thought. So for me today, publication day, it's Christmas or my birthday, all mixed up in one.
Well, now let's talk a bit more about, I actually want to go into pre and probiotics.
Yes,
and
fascinating.
This new buzzword, psychobiotics.
Yeah.
Because I think that is really interesting, and it's something that, I mean, a lot of us know about it, but just reminders are always good, especially in the nutrition space.
Yeah, okay. So first of all, let's start with probiotics. So probiotics, and we have probiotic-rich foods. So we can eat things like kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, tempeh, tofu, all those kind of probiotic-rich foods, and we put them into our guts, like bacteria into our gut. Now, like all things in life, if you don't feed it, it's not going to grow. So we can put them all in there even with supplements as well, but you need the prebiotic-rich foods. So pre feeds the pro, right?
Okay.
So,
yep.
Yeah. So we want to feed them. So how we feed them and there's a whole array of food that these prebiotics love eating, and they're just things like banana, apple, oats, Jerusalem artichoke, garlic, leek, onion. There, off the top of my head, there's
yogurt.
Yogurt is a probiotic.
Probiotic. See, it's so confusing, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah. Okay, so how would I think of just a lot of fermented foods? So when you just think soy-based products,
so we really need both.
We need both. You have to have both. So we put the bacteria in there, and now we don't want them to die. We need to feed them. So the prebiotic will feed the probiotics, or the good bacteria in our gut, because probiotics are live organisms. So we need to feed them. That's why fermented foods, they talk about that being a live organism. So we ingest it, put it in, and we want to make sure they get into our gut, and then we feed them with the prebiotic-rich foods. So then if you think about it, and I'm going to try and make this as kind of simple as I can. So imagine that the probiotics are in there, the pre's have come in, they're all feeding away on all the fibres from the bananas and the apples and oats and
sounds like a disco party.
It's all happening in the gut. It's all happening there. Now they're going to produce a byproduct, and that byproduct we call postbiotics. So have you heard of postbiotics?
I have.
Okay, so they produce postbiotics, which is effectively waste from the bacteria, right? But it's, as humans, what we love is that waste to thrive. So that's what's great for our health. So that's what we call short-chain fatty acids, or what I love, butyrate. So that is what is great for our gut lining to be nice and stable. It's great for lowering disease risk, for lowering for lowering our risk of things like bowel cancer, for our overall health and wellness, to feed our colon cells. So that's butyrate, and one thing that actually I find. I'm going to go off on a 5-second
I'll bring
tangent.
you back.
Bring me back, okay? Ozempic, right?
Oh, we are going off on a tangent. Okay.
What does Ozempic do to people's gut? It destroys it. They're either constipated for 2 weeks or they've got chronic diarrhea, and I'm seeing patients come
interesting.
in. No, it's fascinating what it actually is destroying the gut. So here's people taking Ozempic. No, I'm not talking about the type 2 diabetics
Yep.
who need it. I'm talking about people who are doing weight loss for it. And I'm thinking, here's these people who might lose 5 kilos. They're doing this, they're taking Ozempic. I had a patient who came in and hadn't had a bowel movement for 2 weeks. It was completely impacted from Ozempic. I've had another patient who's got permanent diarrhea from Ozempic, and I'm thinking, what is this doing to their gut bacteria? Of course, I'm thinking about those beautiful bacteria, and I'm thinking, they're not producing any butyrate. Butyrate's what keeps us healthy, and it also is what helps with keeping us at a healthy weight. So it's like, it's a contradiction. Why wouldn't you want to just work on your gut? And another thing, and another tangent is gut and menopause. Like, people forget about, I know, so I've just gone off. I'm going to leave that.
Let's park that one. Let's get you back on to talk about that.
Okay. Now, psychobiotics, we're still on postbiotics.
No, I just want to, before we get to psychobiotics, let me ask you, how do we know if we're getting enough that was actually really...
Did I explain that?
Beautifully explained, yes.
Thank you.
It made sense, thank you. How do we know if we're eating enough of these foods? I mean, really, how do we know if we've got a healthy gut?
Well, okay, so the biggest thing, I'm going to tell you one thing about our gut. It is not backward in coming forward. If your gut's upset, it's going to tell you. You're going to fart too much. You're going to have diarrhea. You're going to be constipated. You're going to have a foggy head. You could be irritable. You might have eczema. You might be too stressed. What else?
And I'm sure every listener has said tick, 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 tick.
Bloated all the time, abdominal pain, all of that stuff. That's your gut's way of communicating to you, saying, hey, I'm not happy. When your gut's happy, it's humming along nicely. You're having a regular bowel movement. You've got a good transit time. You can test that by eating corn. So you should have a minimum by the corn test.
Okay, test. Okay, what do we do?
Eat some corn.
Yeah.
An ear of corn, as they call it. Like, that's ridiculous. Do you ever know why that's me? I'm on an ear. You know how they call it an ear of corn?
Yes.
That's how they used to count it back in like days where they would farm corn like hundreds of years ago. They would count it in ears. Anyway, I'm off on another tangent.
Okay, anyway, yes, the corn test.
Yeah. Okay, eat some corn. And then look in your stool to see when you pass the corn, and that way you know your transit time from when you eat something to it leaves your body.
So what's a healthy transit time?
Within 24 hours it should be. So, yeah.
Do blueberries work the same? I feel like they have a bit of a transit time.
Yeah, no, they do have a great transit time.
You and I eat a lot.
Yes, we do. And we have a punnet a day.
Yeah, I've got my punnet in the bag just there. I haven't eaten it yet.
No, I already have. Mine went into a smoothie this morning.
We should have a blueberry party.
A big protein-rich smoothie, actually, with lots of fibre. But anyway, yes. So you know in your gut will tell you. So when your gut's working, and just little things like level of flatulence. Like, how many times should a human pass wind a day? Have you ever wondered that? No, I haven't either.
How many?
I did wonder that. Between 15 and 22 farts a day.
Oh my gosh, the boys in my house are going to love that when I tell them that tonight.
For you. And so your gut will communicate with you. So little things like great skin, clear thinking, no bloating, no distension. Poo should come out like soft serve ice cream. That's what you want your emotions to look like. So a good soft serve ice cream is a good bowel movement. Proper evacuation, where you've gone to the bathroom and you feel like you've evacuated properly, is really important.
I love your terminology. Soft serve evacuation.
Well, I know who follows me. I know obviously from being on Sunrise for so many years. I know from the other books, and I want to make health, and I don't want to say things that intimidate or make people lose their interest. I want them to be able, and I think next time everyone's going to go to the toilet and go, does that look like soft serve?
Actually, I have to, this might be too much information, but I was in North America at Christmas.
Yes.
It's so much better when you go to the toilet in North America because it can see your poo. Whereas in Australia, it can drop right down.
Yeah, right. Is that because of these?
I think the different way.
The different way of the hemispheres.
Yes, and I actually commented to my husband, oh my gosh, I love doing poos in North America because it tells me so much more about my health.
I was wondering, well, that's everything. I mean, your stool will tell you. I mean, little things like if you see oil droplets and if you see oil droplets in the toilet, or if you can see skid marks, it's because there's too much gluten or fat in there. And actually, which is another thing about this, I've come back to postbiotics.
Yes.
We're running out of time.
Okay. Yeah. Well.
Okay.
Finish that, and then quickly fill us in about this new buzzword, psychobiotics.
Okay, I'll finish up. So, postbiotics is another big one where I spoke about, but there's also postbiotics, which are negative, and it's too much bile acid produced from too much fat in the diet, which has lead to being carcinogenic. People who live on like carnivore, low carbohydrates for too long produce too much bile, and then of course a postbiotic reaction from that is bile acids that have a negative impact on our gut. So there's good the point I'm making, whilst postbiotics are like, wow, the butyrate, blah, 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 there's still some ones that aren't great. So it's not all postbiotics are amazing. That's that. Now,
Okay. Psychobiotics.
Love. It's fabulous. This is so interesting. Look, so the gut-brain axis. So basically what psychobiotics is just saying that there's bacteria through the vagus nerve that have an influence on our mental health. So postbiotics is just, psychobiotics is a really interesting space. Now, I have read about it a lot. I've researched it, and my thoughts are, whilst it's fascinating, and we do know that there's bacteria that we know people who have certain colonies of a lot of these kind of like bifidobacteria. They've got like great colonies in it. They do have a lower incidence of things like anxiety and depression when their gut health is better and diverse. We know that. We also know that people have irritable bowel syndrome, as I've mentioned, as it relates to anxiety and depression. Another point I want to make is when you look at it, like just stand back and look at this whole psychobiotics thing. Mental illness is and this is my thoughts on it. If I look at the evidence, 95%, I'm just going to relay some points because I know we're coming to an end. 95% of our serotonin is produced in our gut, right? We have to be mindful of that, number one. Number two, people on the Mediterranean diet, they have a 33% lower incidence of anxiety and depression. It's very plant-based. So think about all the health and wellness associated with that. And my other thought is I do love psychobiotics. I actually got a supplement last week to which I'm looking at, which is all those probiotics relating to supporting that anxiety and depression. But I also do want to point out to people listening, it is a really interesting space. There's a lot more research that needs to be done. If you're someone who does have mental illness, don't chuck away your meds and go, I'm going to go and buy some probiotics because I believe in psychobiotics. Maybe work with your practitioner about introducing the psychobiotic supplements that are around on the market now in conjunction with your current plan. Because mental health is very serious and it's something I don't take lightly because it is. I'm the daughter of a psychiatrist. Mental health is everything as well. Yeah. So I'm really mindful with this new space for people not to go, I'm going to go and do that. Just work with it. Work with a healthcare professional. Understand it's new research. We do know the gut-brain axis is very real. We do know that there is gut bacteria that can influence our mental health. We know all that. But if you do suffer from mental illness, don't chuck away your pills right yet. Work on a process of bringing them in and take it over time with a registered healthcare practitioner.
Well said. Good reminder.
I'm really mindful of that space right now.
Yeah.
So I started reading a lot of it towards the end of last year. Of course, after I'd finished that manuscript, I was like, can I do an edit?
Well, that's the thing with gut health. Well, we'll need you on soon to update us on the latest research. But thank you for coming back on Extra Healthy.
I love coming on. Thank you so much for having me.